Bones, aka Elmo Kennedy O'Connor, is an American rap pioneer from Howell, Michigan. Though he considers Howell to be his home, Bones was actually born in Marin County, California, and lived in Minnesota between the ages of 13 and 15. In 2010, Bones dropped out of school at the age of 16 and moved to live with his brother in Los Angeles. At the time, O'Connor was using the stage name That Kid, but changed his name to Bones 2 years later in 2012. After moving to LA, Bones connected with a handful of other artists that he met online 3 years prior: Xavier Wolf, Chris Travis, and Eddie Baker. And the four went on to form the rap collective known as Sesh Hollowwater Boys. Bones gained major recognition for his 2014 mixtape Teen Witch over controversy for its theme based around Columbine. The follow-up mixtape to Teen Witch, entitled Garbage, was released mid-2014 and caught the attention of Complex and Fader, who lauded the mixtape as being a massive and boundary-pushing piece of art. Bones hit the Billboard charts in 2015 after A$AP Rocky released Canal Street, which was a remix of Bones' song Dirt. Bones has said on multiple occasions that he has no genre, but as far as I can tell, there are 4 main sounds that he sticks to. One is regular Bones, the type you'd hear on songs like Taking Out the Trash, where he raps under his breath a lot. You also have harder screaming tracks, and you have softer style tracks where he sings emo stuff like Lil Peep, as well as more ambient singing stuff. Let's get into the cook-up. I pulled up this custom patch in Omnisphere. I'm going to start off with a melody in D minor. I'll speed up the footage here to save time. Here's what I came up with. I added some effects to give it a slightly more ambient and low fidelity feel. First, I added this free degrader plugin, as well as this free bit crusher plugin. Next, I applied an EQ with a low cut around 170 Hz, a slight dip at 1072 Hz, and a high cut at 1.7 kHz. I also added some reverb. Here's what the melody sounds like now. I pulled up this texture in Omnisphere. I added some effects. First, I applied the degrader plugin again. Then I added some reverb. And lastly, I added an EQ with a low cut at 480 Hz, a boost at 632 Hz, as well as a boost at 7.3 kHz. Here's what the texture sounds like now. For additional texture, I'll be adding this vinyl sample as well. I'll just drag and drop it into the playlist as is. I laid down a snap. I layered that snap with this triangle for some of those Memphis trap vibes. I added a snare to increase the overall bounciness of the track. I made this hat pattern. I laid down a kick. I made this 808 pattern that just follows the kick. I pulled up this vocal sample and reversed it. I'll be using it as a riser type sound at the start of the track. Here's what the drums sound like all together. Alright, now it's time to move on to the rest of the Bones formula to complete our project. Step 1 is already out of the way, which was to create a spooky, Memphis-influenced trap beat with heavy bass and low-fidelity elements. The next thing to do is to write some lyrics. Bones' lyrics generally focus on a dislike for fakes, bad artists, and clones. And yes, I do recognize the irony of Bones hating clones, while this video's main purpose is to show you how to be a clone of Bones. His lyrics also highlight his independence, both as an artist and as someone who thinks for themselves. Another common theme you might notice in Bones songs is that he tends to say he's a young someone or something. Here are some examples.
Young Kevin Nash, just a victim of this cash. Young David Spade, young Jeff Hardy, young Creed Bones, young Chris Angel.
The vocal delivery on the type of Bones track we're going for tends to be quiet, delivered under your breath in a deep voice, with sections near the end where you start rapping at a regular volume. The vocal mixing tends to be super wide, so either record multiple takes of your vocals or just clone them and wide pan them left and right. If you do clone them, be sure to offset your vocals by a small increment, or else the effects won't work. As for the visuals, Bones' music tends to be recorded on old VHS tapes, and he messes with input chords and whatnot to make them all staticky, distorted, and lo-fi. I don't have any of that, nor do I have any friends to record me rapping, so in this case, I'll just be splicing together a bunch of random VHS footage, and that should suffice for the purposes of this video. And finally, just a disclaimer, I'm not attempting to do an outright impression of Bones. I'm simply attempting to emulate his flow, subject matter, and general aesthetic when it comes to vocal delivery and mixing. With all of that out of the way, let's see what we've come up with.
Smoking my dope and seen it all like I'm in slow motion. And out here acting like clones and really think that we didn't notice. Just cause you act like Bones does not mean that you belong. I send you to sleep with the worms, your name engraved on stone. Fuck what they trying to